What's your 3-year plan? It's interesting when I have been doing this for a while and think back on the people I've worked with, the differences between the successes and failures, most of the time that's quitting, that I've seen, and what's the difference there? So I ended up with last week talking to quite a few mentees, and in that, one of the people I talked to was the person who has completed 54 locations acquisitions. And that started back in 2019. By 3 years, he had, I think it was 22 locations. And today he's got 54. So you see that there's a curve to this oftentimes in terms of the geometric progression. Also talked to someone who I didn't recognize the name. I looked back in my records, and that person had taken a course from me in the days that I offered a free hour of conversation with the course. Don't do that anymore, but I did back then. And you could split that between a 30 and a 30. And that person had the first 30, but didn't have the second 30. And so when I went back and looked at that first 30 minutes was in 2019. Not quite 6 years ago, but pretty darn close to it. And so what's the difference? And I did have the second, he asked if I would honor the second 30 minutes, and I said I would, had the discussion with him. And he just said that he had a lot of things that distracted him, took him off the ball, and he wanted to get now back into it. Now, the difference between the two is not the distractions, are not the failures along the way. The first person I talked to with 54 locations during COVID had achieved 14 LOIs, not an insignificant fact. And every one of those in COVID disappeared. We never talked about the failure in terms of woe is me. We just looked at taking what was the situation, improving it, and moving forward. In full disclosure, I have a piece of that deal. But that's a big part of this, the not quitting, being able to bounce back from temporary defeat. I've got someone who sent me an email a couple days ago that I wanted to read to you. This is a former member of the VIP Mastermind program. Hello, Mr. Whipple. Yes, it's been a while. I hope everything is going great for you. I think we spoke after I closed my first deal. Things are generally doing well since then. The hardest part is running the business. This is the truest statement you gave us. Hope I gave you some other ones too. We currently have 7 more locations under LOI, which are at the internal vetting stage. A few points for co-mentees if you wish to share them, and that's you, and I do wish to share them. 1, when running the business, there will be good days, but also many sleepless nights. Get used to it. Troubles are not always financial. They can be HR, reputation-based, client troubles, etc., etc. Absolutely true. The acquisition model works, no question. Well, it worked for him. Use the board, and he's got 5 exclamation points after that. Follow up, follow up, follow up. I'm glad to have a mentor like you, Mr. Whipple. I will make you proud. You already have. Milan is his name. And so think about that. Think about where you are. Think about what can happen in 3 years from no acquisitions through COVID to 22 locations. And as I said, now 54 locations. Or it's Groundhog's Day. And 3 years from now, you're exactly where you are today. So how does that change? That changes with having a why for these acquisitions, what's important that drives you through the temporary defeats, knowing what to do. Things like the Acquisition Advantage Bootcamp will help you with that. And then taking consistent action every day, at least one thing to move the needle. Keep working that. You'll develop a habit. And use the tools around you. If I mentor you, use me. Use your board. Use your professionals, etc., etc., etc. But keep your eye focused on the next step. Don't worry about what might happen 4 or 5 steps down the line. Be like a racehorse with blinders. Focus on the next step. Work that, then work the next one. That's what the most successful people do. They have a strong why. they're focused, they have pretty good self-esteem and self-image. That will grow with your successes. Not everyone has that in the beginning. In fact, most don't. And you will get more confident as you have successes. So I hope that helps you. I hope that you know what to do. If not, go over to brucewhipple.com. The tools are there that you would need. Someone last night in the live Q&A I do once a month for the Acquisition Advantage Bootcamp said, that boot camp, he's got a friend that I've never met, never talked to, never mentored, and he said he did his first acquisition just using that boot camp. So the process works. Whether it works for you, I can't guarantee that, but the process does work, and I hope that you're one of the ones that makes it successful.